Welcome back, everybody, to Facebook Live with the Sycamores. Today we have the swimming and diving head coach, Matt Leach. Coach Leach, it's great to see you. Year one officially in the books.
Yep.
How does Coach Leach feel now that heading into, technically, I guess, your first off season after a full year?
Yeah, it's going through a season and trying to get everything set up is bittersweet, and we've got some more work to do. A lot of hard work going into the season, and so now we've kind of evaluated how we did and what we need to do better as we move forward.
What was the biggest thing you learned from year one?
A lot of teams have success because culture is already set, and I knew coming in from day one we had to really work on our culture and our team chemistry, and so we're going to continue working on that day in, day out, and year in, year out.
How difficult is that, Coach Leach? Because you mentioned how some programs have culture, but at the same time when you go to a program, sometimes you want to create your own culture, and in part because there already was a culture in place, it's hard to do that. So having a fresh slate, how has that been? Is it harder, more difficult? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
How has that been?
No, that's a great question. There are certain aspects that are different, that are difficult, but overall, once you get to that time of the season and everyone's kind of on the same page, it really helps. And we can look back on our season and look at coming out of our winter training here when we swam Butler, the team was on. The team was great, good team dynamic. And so it's just maintaining that again throughout the season, and for us it's getting all of our student athletes on the same page because they all come from different backgrounds and different types of training styles and coaching styles, and so to bring them all into one and have them focusing on how does our team dynamic look, what are we doing day in and day out to get better, and so that was probably the most challenging but also the most fun.
What was, when you think of building that culture, what was the most enjoyment you got this year in building that culture?
I would have to say when student athletes understand you care and they come to you with something outside of swimming, academically, or something going on at home where they feel like, hey, coach, I want to tell you that to me says a lot about the relationship that you build with each and every student athlete you have. And so for me, that was probably some of the bigger moments that I had, helping some student athletes to go through a variety of different things going on, especially freshman year. It can be a tough transition for all of us.
And you said freshman year can be a tough transition. You had that for each and every one of the ladies on your roster. So knowing everybody was going through it, how do you feel your team really handled year one?
They did a good job, and they knew coming in that it was going to be hard work, and it wasn't just going to be a team's already set up to help them, through each and every process. So I think they understood that there were going to be challenges, and overall, it was a lot of fun, and I look forward to the off season and getting our student athletes, ready for year two, and that's what we're already talking about right now. We're in the off season, but we're already planning and looking forward to next year's conference and what we're going to do to be in a better position moving forward.
I know it more than likely helps that you got a year out of the way, but take me to Matt Leach a year ago at this time to Matt Leach now. What did you learn about yourself? And actually, not that it's like all brand new to you, but what was it like that you learned about yourself that really stood out?
Yeah. The biggest thing for me, looking back, starting the program a year ago, recruiting those student athletes, have them coming in day one, for me, the biggest thing was, okay, we had this set up, this in place, and it had to change a little bit based on where we were at, who we had, on a roster, or things like that, and little things that come up throughout the day, the week, the month, training that you have to negotiate and figure out, not necessarily on the fly, but things you can't plan for, and lineups that, this person's going to go swim that event based on the other team and what they bring to the table. So there's a lot of having to analyze situations and figure out what was going to be the best for our team and program. So not necessarily understanding some of the smaller points that head coaches kind of go through, but being able to manage it and trying to do the best with what we had. So on my part, I learned a lot from not only training, but from dual meet scheduling and all these little things that come up through a season. It was a lot of fun, and I'm excited to do it again.
How do you judge the progress of what you made? I understand every sport, regardless of what it is a results-driven business, but how do you, throughout the year, is it people you talk to? Like, who do you go to really try to get help in judging, one, how much progress that we made, and really kind of come up with, the definition of progress?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, it's great to have our assistant coaches, that are here, that are helping out every day. But it's also nice to talk with other coaches that have come in to take over a program. Might be a different situation, not building it from scratch, but I reach out to a lot of the people that I've worked with throughout the years, in my history, and so getting their input and the process that they see from the outside is nice to get, and for me, it's more about understanding. Yeah, in swimming, it's easy to see, okay, this is our times where we started, this is our times where we finished, to see if people got better or not. Yeah. But looking at it from the inside, you've got to, again, go back to how much did that culture change, how much did it grow, and there's a lot of buy-in in year one that you might not see in a specific time result at the end of the season. And so having that, and having people around not only in the athletic program here, but elsewhere, and other coaches understand that year one is really just setting that foundation and letting that culture build from there.
We've talked a lot throughout the year, and one of the things, and I think it's really great to bring up, is you understand that your program was really able to have success in year one because of the community support and all the help you got from Vigo County. Just really go off on that, and really the help you did receive, and how much this community really embraced you guys right away.
Oh, the community's great. I mean, when you just look from the athletic side, so much support from everyone in administration, from everyone up and down the hallways asking about how the team's going, how are you doing building it, expectations. But then when you look across campus on the academic side, having some great help with admissions, figuring out the admissions process of getting student athletes, some academic scholarship and scholarships and into school here, and just every department we go to on campus has been great to have academic meetings with not only our prospective student athletes, but around town. Vigo County School has been great to us, being able to use that new facility and being able to kind of use it as a recruiting tool. It's very, very important for us to continue talking about how we're one of few 50-meter facilities in the Missouri Valley Conference. Obviously the newest facility, and that's where we do all of our training in the afternoon, and that's where we have all of our dual meets. So not only having that facility, being able to work well and closely with Randy Jensen, who's the aquatics director of that facility, and the people over here at our facility, and it's been so nice. And the club coaches here in town have been great, and we owe a lot of all of our success to the people here in Terre Haute, and we're going to continue to do our best to represent not only Indiana State well, but also Terre Haute, the community, and the state overall. Before
we let you go, the schedule now, what is really the off season and really for your ladies?
It's interesting that you say that. In swimming, there really isn't an off season, because as soon as you get out of the short course season, which is the NCAA season, you go right into the long course season, which is the Olympic style 50-meter pool, where the short course season was a 25-yard pool. So a lot more swimming is invested over the summer, just based on that a 50-meter Olympic style type of training. And so pretty much you get a week to 2 weeks off after one season, a week to 2 weeks off after another season, and that's kind of how your 4 years go in college, and hopefully beyond.
You mentioned that Olympic, going through all that training in the summer. How much? Describe that, because for those that may not be familiar with swimming, of course everybody watches the Olympics and sees, well, what really, when you say the Olympic training, what's different that maybe they go through there to where maybe you and your staff don't have time, or maybe just because year one, maybe you weren't able to get to in the fall?
No, that's another great question. Short course yards, the NCAA season, there's a lot of emphasis on your underwaters, your streamlines, your kickouts, and a lot of that actually has to do with not only training it in the water, but also being really powerful in the weight room. Now I don't want you to think that now that we're switching over to long course or Olympic style type of training and using the 50-meter facility, that you don't use the weight room as much. You still do. It's just that you need to be a little bit more efficient with your stroke mechanics because you're doing more swimming rather than short course yard. You're doing more underwater, more flip turns, and so there's a vast difference between the two, but there's still areas you can work on both. You can work on not only short course but long course and be able to kind of fuse those two together.
And as you guys recruit and you see that over the time, is it more of a challenge when you see that and you see like what's going like over the summer of the differences between the short season, long season, or working, like how does that really play into really when you get them back for a year or two?
Well, yeah, we talk about what some of the elite level teams are doing in programs and how they're not only setting up the season for short course. Once they get their break, they're setting up the season for long course so that they can have a championship style meet outside of being here on campus, going home for the summer to train with their club teams and having a set season is something that obviously is going to help us grow and build. And so for us, it's letting them know that obviously we care. We want you to continue to get better, and one season feeds off of the next season. So the biggest growth I've seen out of swimmers is the summer before the season you're talking about. And so as we transition into this, it's to get that knowledge and that set of, hey, back to the grindstone of going, mornings and afternoons, and obviously it's mostly all voluntary, and to be one of the best in the nation and even the region, you really have to prepare the right way and have that right mindset.
Well, Coach Leach, it's been a joy to watch year one and seeing you and the ladies have all the success that you did, and really excited for year two. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate it.
Once again, that was Coach Matt Leach. For more on Indiana State swimming and diving, stay locked in to GoSycamores.com. For Coach Leach and everybody with Indiana State swimming and diving, I am Luke Martin.